Well, good day. Welcome to another podcast from Northwest Assistance Ministries. I'm Brian Carr. I'm the Chief Advancement Officer here at NAM. And it's a joy today to have my play partner with me, Allison Booker Brooks. Welcome.
Thank you.
And during this 40th anniversary year, we're really concentrating today on discussing the programs that we have at NAM. We've had podcasts over the last couple of months talking about the 40th anniversary and the vision and direction that we feel like the organization is going in. We did a podcast with Candace to talk about behavioral health during Behavioral Health Awareness Month. But it's time, especially in this 40th anniversary, that we really celebrate what the true essence and spirit of NAM is, and that's our programs. It's helping the community. Last year, you and your team served 122,000 clients.
Right. It was a tall feat, but we got it done, and we were able to serve the community in the way, the fashion that NAM does.
Now, thinking about the 40 years, 40 years ago, they started with rent assistance, a food closet, and a small resale file cabinet, basically.
Right.
That's how they started.
Right.
To grow into 122,000. And we did the statistics over all those 40 years. We've served over 4 million people.
Wow, that's a lot of people. And you think about the way that, just for meager beginnings, but think about now that we have a whole assistance department. And thinking about assistance where, like you said, we were doing rental assistance. We still do rental assistance. We're serving about 100 people a month in our rental assistance program. We also do, and rental assistance also includes mortgage assistance for clients who, for whatever reason, have fallen behind on their mortgage payment. Also including electricity, gas, water, any type of utility assistance that we can support them with. And that program, like I said, 100 people a month. So it is going, it has not stopped, and the need is still great here in this community.
And it's really more than just the financial assistance. While that's very needed, especially in today's economy, that's very much needed. But your client services, that segment of the programming, we could do a podcast alone on that, but
True.
Break that out a little bit. Let's expand that and really talk about all of the programs and all of the services that clients could seek just within that realm of NAM.
Yeah. So if you think about, like I said, the financial assistance, and then you talk about our food pantry that started out as a closet, and now we have a pantry where we're serving not 100 clients a month, but 100 clients a week. That people are coming in and getting services for food. It is a drive-through pantry where people can come in and get a box of food. The program initially was a self-serve pantry where people could actually walk and pick the things they wanted to pick. And in the future, we're going to go back to that model, but because of COVID, we had to kind of slow things down a little bit and have people just to drive up, and we would actually create a box of things to be able to give them. So we're talking about your financial assistance, talking about your food assistance, and then think about for the financial assistance, we add another piece to financial assistance that's specifically for veterans. And that's a big deal because our veterans are often the ones who are forgotten in our community. And so as part of the veteran housing assistance, we're able to do financial assistance specifically catered to veteran clients and being able to refer them to any of NAM's program. The beautiful thing about NAM is really what we call a holistic model, that we can provide services for lots of different things, not just the financial or the food assistance, but we're also looking at, like you said, you talked to Candace about our behavioral health program. Behavioral health program really spans the gamut over all of our programs, that anybody from any of the managers from or case managers from those programs can refer clients to our in-house behavioral health program. The beautiful thing about our behavioral health, we have some on-staff therapists, but we also are a teaching behavioral health program. And what that means is that we are a partnership with Our Lady of the Lake University, where we have people who are getting ready to graduate with their license, and they have to finish up their hours. So they're coming to do their hours and their rotations through our behavioral health program, and they're normally here about 8 months. So that's a big help, because that what they do allows us to increase the number of people that we can help, because we have on-staff therapists, we have contract therapists, but then we also have these interns who are coming through as well. So that's a beautiful thing for our organization.
Go back just a little bit what you were talking about when you were mentioning referrals and this holistic approach. Many, many times clients are coming in asking for one service or one particular need, and they may not be aware of everything, the full palette of programs that NAM has. How is your staff trained, and what do they do specifically to work with the client and get them the assistance that maybe they don't even realize that they may need?
Right. What a great question. So about
Of course, it's
about
a great
three
question.
about 3 years ago, I've been here at NAM just a little bit over 4 years, and what I found out, the first thing that I saw there was a need. There needed to be a centralized place where people could come in and learn about NAM services. So that's how we end up creating what we call our centralized intake. And so a client is able to come to the intake department, they get an interview with a case manager, and in that interview, the case manager, of course, is listening to what the client comes in. They got a great need at the moment. Everybody comes in pretty much with some type of emergency. But once the staff person addresses whatever the emergency issue is, they're also explaining them all the other services that NAM offers. And you're right, the client may not need the services at that moment, but what we find out later is that the client oftentimes, they may not need the service at that moment, but they remember, because of the interview they've had and they've been exposed to all of the programs that NAM has, they're able to come back and say, hey, when I was here the last time, I remember you guys told me you had behavioral health. So at that point, we're able to refer them out to behavioral health. We're able to refer them out if they got a parent who's a senior. They can get some senior services. If they came in for rental assistance, but they need food assistance, we're able to make those referrals right from that particular entry point, or even later if they call back and say, hey, I need the services because I heard about it, then we're able to make that referral from the client intake services.
Thank you. You mentioned the food pantry, the Joanne Watford Nutrition Center, and that's more than just a food pantry, isn't it? It's the things how it has served the community the last few years. We spent, during the COVID years, during the pandemic, we distributed food in some monumental ways.
Absolutely. I mean, COVID really taught us a lot about what the capacity of NAM was and what we could actually do in this community. I just remember, in the immediate needs of COVID, that we were actually delivering food out of the Bush Airport. And there we were doing 4,000 clients, and I think we did them twice a month. And I'm sure we could have done it more often if we needed to, but 4,000 clients twice a month, that's 8,000 people that came through that particular drive-through and asked and got food from us. And the other thing about the nutrition center is that it's also opportunity. Yes, we serve food and we serve clients, but also volunteers get served because it's an opportunity for them to come and give back. And quite honestly, we could not do the work that we do in our nutrition center without volunteers. So volunteers come and they get to interact with clients, they get to serve them, they get to understand some of the needs that's happening in the community. Quite often, sometimes volunteers will share with us information that they've gotten from a client that they come back and, say this client, told me this information, we might want to consider, doing something else or adding some other additional services. So, and I say that about the nutrition center, but really all of our programs have some level of volunteer component to it. And so when I think about serving people, I'm not thinking about just serving people who are in need. I'm thinking about serving people with opportunities to be able to serve those in need. And so having our strong volunteer component in all of our programs and giving people an opportunity to serve their community, it really is the key of NAM, Neighbors Helping Neighbors.
If someone needs food or they need financial assistance, how do they reach out to NAM and get that? What's the process for a client to get that sort of help?
So rental assistance, that one specifically is an online process only. So if you go on to NAM's website, which is www.namonline.org, you are able to go on and you can click on Get Help, and you can click on the rental assistance program and actually complete an application, and that information is delivered right to that department, and then they will determine, reach out to someone if they need the assistance and figure out what other information that they need. Any other program services, of course, you can call NAM's main line, which is 281-885-4555, and you can ask about any of the services and find out about the windows of operation. But also any of the other services, you literally could walk in, and at the reception they're going to direct you to our client centralized intake area, where they are going to interview you and ask you, what do you need? What services can you help us with? Can we help you with? And once we do that and we ask you what you need, then at that point, that's when the case managers go into action and they figure out, okay, I need to make this referral. I need to get you down to get food. Some services you can literally get the same day. If you come in for food, client can't wait, a week for food to happen. They need food right then and there. So they're able to get referred and be able to walk right out around to the nutrition center and get food that same day. Behavioral health, if the client is asking for behavioral health services, they're able to get a referral to behavioral health. And what's interesting in our community, it's very difficult to get behavioral health within 7 to 10 days. We are really doing a really good job of being able to meet that. 7 days max, the client's going to be referred to someone for behavioral health. And so any of the services, like I said, the client will come through that centralized intake area. They're able to get a referral, and they're going to get their needs met.
And we'll give all that contact information again at the end of the podcast, so have a pencil and paper ready. So our population is growing and growing older. Mm-hmm. You and I are growing older. We don't want to admit it, but we are.
Absolutely.
We feel it.
Absolutely.
One of the areas that NAM serves that I love, and maybe it's because they're so nice, is our senior services.
Absolutely.
And that's really divided into two parts. Go into our senior services.
Yeah. So our senior services program are broken into two parts, as you said, our Meals on Wheels and then our Young at Heart seniors. Meals on Wheels, of course, are for those seniors who are homebound. And when I say homebound, I don't mean bedbound. These are seniors who are at home, but for whatever reason, they don't have the capacity to get out of the house, to go to the grocery store. Maybe they can't stand at the stove for a long time to prepare a meal, but they need a hearty, nutritious meal every day, Monday through Friday. And so that's what our Meals on Wheels programs do. They will deliver a meal to these particular clients.
And these are volunteers that are delivering these meals, correct?
We are definitely volunteers, and always an opportunity, like I said, for volunteers to be able to serve to the community. But I want to stress that although we serve a meal, the Meals on Wheels program is more than just a meal. It really is what we call a safety net. So when that volunteer goes, and typically the volunteers most oftentimes have the same route, so they get to really know Miss Jones or Mr. Jones. They know what the senior looks like. They know, the seniors, how they move, how they look. And so when they go there and they see something kind of out of sort, usually those volunteers are the first ones to notice that something's not quite right. So what they normally would do is they'll come back and they'll call the staff while they're in the car on the route to the next place, especially if it's something that's very serious. But if it's just something that just kind of looks off, they'll come back and they'll report that to the case manager here at the office. And at that point, we'll call Ms. Jones and say, hey, what's going on? The volunteer reported, you didn't look so well today. And, have you been taking your medication? Just asking them questions about what's happening with them. And sometimes we may have to call their emergency contact number, because we do collect all the information from them once they roll in the program. So sometimes we have to call the emergency contact number and say, hey, you need to call your mom. You need to go by your mom's house and check on them, or call someone to check on them, because some of these seniors, they don't have, their families may not even live here in town. So to be able to call someone to go and check on them, or maybe the family lives across town, but they don't get to come over quite as often as they would like to. So that whole Meals on Wheels program literally becomes a safety net. So it's really more, yes, you get a meal, you get a hot meal every Monday through Friday, but you also get someone who cares about you and who's concerned about your well-being.
And we have some add-on programs that are associated with the Meals on Wheels. It works on the same principle with the pet care and with supplements.
Absolutely.
And with some groceries. Is that right? Not every Meals on Wheels patient gets it, but there are a few that do.
Absolutely. So one of the things that we screen for, we look at those seniors who are the most vulnerable. And for instance, we'll get them a meal Monday through Friday, but some of the seniors have access where their family members may be coming on the weekend, so they don't really need the weekend support. But we do have seniors who have nobody. And so if we don't give them something for them to have over the weekend, so we do have volunteers that go on Saturdays that are going to deliver a supplemental grocery bag for those seniors to have some extra things to eat if they need them. And then also one of the things that we notice that when you go out and you see these seniors, that you'll see the plastic tray that their food comes in, and it's on the floor. And the reason it's on the floor because they're serving it to their dog. And not because they don't like it, it's because they don't have the money to buy dog food, so they're sharing the meal that they get with their dogs. And of course, the seniors don't eat a whole lot anyway, so their portions are really, small compared to what, you and I might eat. But to be able to take that meal and give part of it to your dog, it's just not sufficient enough to sustain the senior. So what we did is that we started creating a meal program for our animals. So some of our seniors who have pets who need it, we're able to deliver them dog food or cat food along with their meal, so they have something to be able to feed their dogs and their cats as well.
So let's talk about the other side of our seniors program, which is one of the happiest places in the world.
The active seniors, absolutely, our young at heart seniors. And gosh, when I walk into the building, they're on our second floor of our administrative building, and when you walk in and you see the smiling faces of these seniors, and they're just happy to be here and happy to get out of the house. They come here to our building. The building's open for them from Monday through Friday, and they have every activity that you can imagine, dance, yoga. They have some educational classes, but I'm going to tell you, Brian, the favorite thing that they love to do most is to play bingo.
It's bingo.
Bingo, and bingo keeps the mind active, it keeps them sharp, it keeps them on their toes, because they're looking for their number to be called, so they got to pay attention. So bingo has some advantages for them. And of course, they win some prizes and things they get to take home with them, but they really do enjoy playing bingo, but more so they enjoy the interaction with one another. I'll share with you that when the pandemic happened, and of course, a pandemic was affecting more seniors than anybody else, and so they were the first ones that we shut down when it came to ending programs and moving things off. Moving our things in-house to online. They were one of the first ones that got affected, and we were fortunate enough to be able to teach some of our seniors how to use Zoom. So we still had Zoom bingo, we had some Zoom educational class, and we were delivering meals to them, frozen meals to them, so they were able to still have a meal during that time. But what was very interesting, when the whole country and the whole world opened back up and our seniors were able to come back, that little period of time, those seniors were so frail and so poor looking that the absence of human touch and human interaction really had taken a toll on a lot of them. And it was so sad to see them that some of them had progressed to using walkers because they had not had exercise that they're used to having. But I tell you what a difference a whole year. It's been almost 2 years that we've been back open now. And a lot of those seniors are thriving. They look good. They're happy to be here. We average anywhere from 60 to 65 seniors here in our senior center and growing.
And I got to tell you, you have not lived until you experience 70-year-olds talking trash over Wii bowling.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
They get into it.
Yes, and that's for sure.
Well, one area that I'm really proud of NAM, and that has been growing in the last couple of years, in an effort to help these families improve their future and improve their path, and I dare say give them some hope, is a practical way to lift themselves out of the condition they're in through our Learning and Vocational Training Center.
Absolutely. You know, it's one thing to come in and say, okay, I need food, I need my light bill paid, or I need my rent paid. Nobody wakes up in the morning and says, you know what, I want to go to NAM and ask for services and ask for help. People want opportunities to do something to better themselves. And with our Learning and Vocational Training Center, we have the privilege of being able to offer classes through grant dollars that the clients don't have to pay for. So I beg not to say that they're free, because they're not free. It's just the fact that the client doesn't have to pay for them. But we do solicit money from the community and from government grants to support these programs, such as certified nursing assistants, electric journeyman classes. It may be phlebotomy, surgical technician classes. So there are lots of different classes that we could offer through our Learning and Vocational Training Center. And the important piece is being able to create things that people can come in and get some type of training relatively fast, because people need to go to work. They want to go to work. They want to increase their earning potential. And that's the whole purpose of having these classes, that for people to come in and say, okay, right now they may be working a job where maybe they're making, $8, $9 an hour. They come in and they do the surgical tech class, and when you get done, you take the certification class, and you can go out and get a job paying you $18, $19 an hour. It may not sound like a lot to maybe people who are listening, or maybe it does sound like a lot, but it's a lot to our clients when you're only making $8 or $9 or $10 an hour, and to be able to move to a livable wage is important. And so we're very proud of our program. One of the electric journeyman classes, one of the newest ones that we offered, and it's a 6-week class. And the beautiful thing about this particular class is that when our clients complete the class, they literally are going to go to work for a electrical company immediately after they finish the class. That's a blessing. Because it's one thing to take this to do a certification class, take a class, get a certification, but then you got to go out and look for a job. That can be daunting in itself, being able to fill out applications, and you're going for interview after interview. And so one of the things we were excited about was creating this partnership between Northwest Assistance Ministries, Memorial Area Ministries, and Trio Electric, and being able to create this relationship where when our students finish this class, to be able to go to work immediately, that's a huge blessing. And thanks to our partner Chase Bank, who underwrote the cost of that and funded this program, and has funded it again for another year. We're very, very excited about it. And of course, we're always looking at opportunities how to grow that. If there are people who are listening to this podcast and you are a business owner, and you see an opportunity where you need a growing workforce that you're trying to help develop, that's what we do, is we do workforce development. So if there's an opportunity that you see that you need more employees, and you have the capability of employing people, and you want them trained, contact us. Let us have some conversation, because we're open to creating more workforce development. I believe that the key is being able to train people, but to have jobs waiting for them when they're done, because people do want to go to work, and they want to go to work quick.
One of my favorite stories from my time here at NAM, there was a mother of two that was working 2 jobs, and neither one of them had benefits. So she was working 2 jobs, not getting to spend the time with her children that she wanted. They were in their early teens or 8 or 9 years old. Really important years for a mother to be a part of their lives. And she came in and she took our surgical equipment sterilization course. Mm-hmm. And she went through it, and it was tough because she was working 2 jobs. She had to find a time to come into the class. It was a Saturday class, and now she's not even spending Saturday with her kids. Mm-hmm. When she was going to the graduation, during the graduation ceremony, she was hired. Mm-hmm. during the ceremony.
Yep, I remember that.
And she ended up with a job that paid 40-something thousand dollars and had benefits. And if the story stopped there, that would still be incredible. It would still make me proud of what we do. But she came back a couple of years later, and she's now a supervisor with that company. She has bought a house, and her oldest child is preparing to go to college. That one course, that change in her life, and she did it. It's not wasn't a handout. She had to earn it.
Yeah, absolutely.
But she was willing to put the work in if somebody would give her the chance. So here was NAM giving her the opportunity, giving her the conduit to this path. She took advantage of it. She broke that cycle of poverty. She won. She showed her kids what hard work is and not to be afraid of it. What education can do, and don't give up. And it's just a tremendous story. And that was made possible because of funders and donors to NAM, and it's a great part of what NAM does.
Absolutely, and it really is an example of not giving a handout, but giving a hand up, and that's the whole purpose of what we do is really people are reaching out to help me. I need a hand up. And so if you get a visual of that, if you reaching your hand down, NAM is the hand that reaches down and pull people up.
Well, we have another program that I will be honest, I wish we didn't have. I wish we didn't need it. I wish we were a society that didn't need it. But we have a family violence center that deals with domestic violence and abuse and has a 24-hour hotline. And this is an interesting program because it was really started by a volunteer in the food pantry.
Yeah.
And she saw bruises on a lot of the clients that would come in, and she knew what was going on. She knew the story. She knew. And so she pestered NAM and said, why don't we have a program for them? And as we do with volunteers, yeah, that's a great idea. If you could find the funding, we'd do it. What did she go out and do? She went out and found the funding. And so tell us a little bit about our Family Violence Center now and where it's come from and where it is.
Yeah, so you're right. It's like it started out of just a volunteer seeing, these clients coming in with the different bruises, and out of concern, approached the NAM executive about creating this program. And now it's come to where it's a full-time program with 6 staff members. In what they're covering is we have a 24-hour hotline, so they're able to answer the call when someone calls in and says they're in distress and they need help, whether the help is being able to help them devise an escape plan, whether it's help to be able to get them, if it's an emergency, getting emergency services to them. Sometimes it's getting them out right then and there, get out, get here, and having to put them up in a hotel or putting them on a bus or a flight to a family member, whatever it takes to be able to get that client safe. We do have partnerships with all of the domestic violence shelters in the city. We don't have a shelter here at NAM ourselves, which we don't even have a need for a shelter because there are other partners who do that, and that's what they specialize in. But what we do is have the relationship that we know what beds are available and where to look. So if the client needs to be housed, we're able to contact them, get them connected immediately without the client having to go through a bunch of hoops to be able to do that. And all this is done confidentially. In that program also is opportunity for clients to get behavioral health services. So there's play therapy for children, there's therapy and group sessions for families that happens in the Family Violence Center. And then we're also doing peer advocacy. It's where the clients in that program can get together and have conversations and support one another. And then we're also doing community education, and that really is about educating our young folks about teen dating violence and about sexual assault. So we are in often in the Klein School District, Spring ISD, and in Aldine School District, talking about these things to the kids early so they can identify when they're in relationships or going toward relationships that are not so healthy, and that for them to be able to make good decisions about, who they want to spend their time with and how they should be treated. So it's really important for us to teach people early so they know exactly what to be looking for. So that's our Family Violence Center, and like you said, it's one of those things. It's one of those hard things that you really wish you didn't have to do, but it's one of those things that are needed in the community. And it was so sad to me during the pandemic because people were so much more in confines and were not out of the house, that we saw a big rise of family violence during that time. And I'm sure under the stress of not having work and not maybe having the food that you needed, and it just caused more stress on families, and there was a big rise in family violence cases during that time.
Now, once again, there's a 24-hour hotline for our Family Violence Center, and that number is 888-750-4673. 888-750-4673. It is on our website, and to protect those who may be in a situation where someone is looking over their shoulder, if you go to our website, you do not even need to click on the Family Violence Center. This hotline, this 24-hour hotline, is scrolling at the top of our website, so it is available for anyone to find. Call that number if you need help. So, one thing again that I'm proud of NAM is during COVID, we never shut down.
No, we didn't. My staff are the front line, and that's what we do. We never shut down. We continue to serve people food. We could continue to do rental assistance. I mean, everything that we do, we continue to do. Some of the services we were able to take offline to put it on Zoom, so clients didn't have to come to us. So that was a benefit for the client and for us as well. And what it really did is strengthen us to know that there's some things that we really didn't have to have clients to come in for, even after the pandemic was over. I remember that when the pandemic first happened, that people were showing up here at NAM to get assistance, and there were lines around the corner. People wanted to get rental assistance, and we're thinking like, okay, no, we can't do that because COVID is really alive and well. We don't want to do that, and so we ended up moving it online and having people complete the applications online, send their documents online, and we have kept with that structure because it works. People don't have to leave the house. It doesn't cost them any gas money. It's time sensitive, and we can do it in a quick fashion. And it's just a matter of an interview and telling the client what they need, and even teaching some of the clients, because when you're trying to scan documents and send documents back, it can be difficult if you've never done it before. So teaching people how to download a scanner on their phone to be able to scan a document and send to us, or even taking a picture of the document and send it to us in the email. So it's lots of patience for our staff to be able to teach the client on what to do to make sure that we can serve them well.
A few years ago, right after I started here at NAM, we had a little storm come through called Hurricane Harvey.
Yeah, a little storm. Mm-hmm.
And the service area of NAM was really the hardest hit area as far as the amount of water and the flood damage and the people that were displaced. And maybe what I'm most proud of when I look back at NAM and look at who we are, we're big enough to serve 122,000 clients a year.
Mm-hmm.
But we're also local enough and flexible enough that when that water stopped, when the rain stopped, within a 12-hour period, we were ramped up for emergency services. Mm-hmm. We not only had day packs and food available and water available, we immediately used our website as an information tool.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things that amazed me was prior to Harvey, we had about 2,800 followers on our social media and website. Within a week after Harvey, we had over 28,000.
Mm-hmm.
because we were giving information of where shelters were, where they could get food, where they could get assistance. We were working with the Red Cross. We were working with the other oversight organizations so that we had all the information that was available. And it was in one area. And that's just what NAM does. NAM was meeting the needs of the people. We couldn't do anything about the water.
Right.
We were not immediately into reconstruction. We had donors from 13 different states bring us financial donations, which we needed, but also brought water, bleach and cleaning supplies, food, diapers, formula. And it was amazing. We had a distillery come out of Ohio, and they called the second day after the rain, "What do you guys need? If you name it, we need it." And we went over the list. I remember the call. And they said, "Okay, well, we're going to get a little something together, and we're going to give it to you." And I said, "Well, thank you." Called us back about a week later and said, "All right, we're going to be heading out tomorrow, and we're actually going to bring it to you. We had so much that was donated." And I'm like, "Wow, that's amazing." 2 days later, they call up and said, "We're pulling into your parking lot. Where do we go?" And I said, "Well, I'll meet you in the back parking lot." We were unloading water anyway. So here comes this van. I thought, wow, that's cool. Then a U-Haul van. Then an 18-wheeler that was full of water, diapers, all because in their community, one distillery, that was a mom and pop kind of distillery business, sent out a message: we want to help those that are suffering from Hurricane Harvey, and we have an organization down in Houston that we're working with. 13 different states that was repeated. Within 24 hours of us opening, we had one of our major donors, an oil company, call us because they wanted to set up a wire transfer for them to send money to help us, because they knew it was going to be incredible what was going to happen. The second day we were open, when the waters got up to one of the schools in Klein that they were using as a shelter, they said, "Okay, we're going to have to abandon this. We're bringing all of our supplies to you, to NAM." 13 pickup trucks and 5 buses worth of clothes that were donated landed in our lobby. This is what NAM does.
Right.
We serve the community.
You know, NAM never was created to be an emergency response organization. That's not what we initially thought we were going to be doing. But as you know, natural disasters decide whenever they want to happen. We don't get to decide when that's going to happen. And NAM knows how to respond, and we know how to transform in the times of need. So you talk about, Hurricane Harvey. Well, talk about the freeze. We were one of the hardest areas hit for the freeze as well. And we had a few pipes that bust around here, but we were here working. We came right on in, and we started serving clients immediately. So now we consider NAM as an organization that can transform in the time of emergencies, and we can be responsive to the community. We're about the only game in town up here in this northwest quadrant of the town. So when things happen in this north part of town, we're it. And NAM is responsive and will be responsive and will continue to do the work. And we have not only the staff and the employees that want to do it, but we also have the volunteers. It again goes back to neighbors helping neighbors. We had neighbors who were affected themselves with Hurricane Harvey and were affected by the freeze, but guess what? They showed up. We had volunteers who showed up during COVID that never stopped. They still came and worked with us. And some of them were seniors. And although the media was telling seniors, seniors, you're the most vulnerable population, you need to stay home, they'll come out. We had some seniors who have been working here at NAM as volunteers for years, and they continue to come. So the commitment of NAM and its volunteers is, it can't be matched. They're not second to anyone.
Years ago, I worked for a very large nonprofit, a national nonprofit, and one of the donors for that organization says, "I love the mission, I love the organization, but it is like a giant warship trying to get it to turn and change directions." And that statement stayed with me, and I don't know that I fully comprehended it until I got here to NAM, and I saw how we could turn on a dime when Harvey hit. We could turn on a dime with the freeze and with COVID, and even smaller situations when an apartment complex a couple of blocks away just a few months ago had a devastating fire. Congregations were bringing those families to NAM, and they got food and they got some clothes and they got a lot of services to help them get back on their feet. And I guess I as we're wrapping up our conversation, NAM is here for the purpose of serving the community, whatever that might look like.
I couldn't have said it any better.
Well, I know.
I mean, when you say neighbors helping neighbors, we're the neighbors and we're helping our neighbors. That's what we do.
And we do want to thank, last year we had over 3,400 volunteers. We cannot do it without the volunteers. And we, before we cut off, we also want to mention that there is a pediatric health center here located in NAM, in our main building. It is available for those in this community. If you need services, you can go online to namonline.org, or you can call our main number at 281-885-4555. We're located at 15555 Kirkendall Road, and our zip code is 77090. All this information is available on our website, again, namonline.org. Visit our website if you need services. If you're looking for opportunities to volunteer, you can fill out the application and get that process started online. If you want to make a donation to support these programs, you can do that online as well. Visit our website often. Look at us on social media. We're on all the social media platforms. Our information is out there. Allison, thank you for spending some time with us today and for everything that you do to make NAM the organization that it is. You and your team are just incredible. I watch it every day, and I'm still amazed.
Well, thank you for inviting me, and I really appreciate it. And like I said, NAM is what we do. It's neighbors helping neighbors.
Well, thank you so much for joining us. This will be our third podcast that will be posted up on our website. Again, I'm Brian Carr with Northwest Assistance Ministries. Have a great day.